Hey guys, I'm Kate and I make junk journals, and today this is not a tutorial, it's just a flip through explained. If you're new to my channel, I want you to know that this is very different from the normal things that I do. I usually do step-by-step tutorials where I explain each thing and build it in front of you, and it's easy to follow along and comprehend, but this is not one of those videos. This is my never-ending junk journal, the most complicated junk journal I've made. And I knew that there would be a high demand for tutorials, but I do not want to do a tutorial on this. So instead, I'm just gonna do a quick flip through where I explain what I do on each panel. If you've been watching my videos, this is gonna make a lot of sense because tons of these are in the other tutorials, or at least similar concepts, so you'll get the basic idea. If you haven't seen any of my tutorials, it might seem a little overwhelming or fast or confusing. So if it does, I just encourage you to go back and look through my other tutorials. And those are step by step, and it should give you plenty of ideas if you wanted to make a journal like this. Okay, so let's jump right in. So for the foundation of the page, it's just one 12 by 12 scrapbook paper cut down to be 7 inches tall. So if you just take a normal piece of scrapbook paper, cut it down, then you would have, a page that would be cut off. Somewhere like, obviously shorter, this is too tall, but you get the general concept. And then what I would do to make it the right length that I wanted it to be a 5 by 7, so it's 7 inches in height, and then 5 inches and 5 inches, and then I have this extra 2 inches, and instead of cutting this, I just folded this to have extra 2 inches like this. So this could connect to another piece of paper. So I'm going to show you how that looks on here. So here is this floral pattern underneath. I covered it with these heart tissue paper and lace and another one, but underneath there's this floral paper, and you can see it here on the back. That wraps around, and then the 2 inches continue over, and that's what connects to this page. So here is just my 12 by 12 scrapbook paper right there, okay? So this side keeps flipping out with another piece of paper, and this side folds up with several pieces of paper. So let's do this side first. This is just like our 5-panel flip through that we just finished that series. So if you want to know how to do that, you can look at those tutorials. But essentially all we did was glue another piece of it would be 7 inches by 12 inches paper, and I just glued it like that. And I didn't glue it on 3 sides and make a pocket or anything because this is so heavy that I really needed that to be glued really well. So I glued that whole strip down so that the extended pages could be another piece of paper. So this floral pink paper is my second 12 by 12 that I cut down to be 7 by 12. And I put it, and here's the back of that 12 by 12 piece of paper. I glued the white side to the colored side right there so that that smushes. This is like falling open all over. That's so funny. Let's put this all back. So I have that, and it's the full 12 inches too, I believe. Or not quite. I guess I used the tear bar to cut off the very tip of that. So that gave me 2 more panels that I could fold, and kind of half a panel that I turned into something with an envelope. Okay, so we've got 1 piece of paper, 2 pieces of paper for our foundation. And then for this one, I used this cream colored paper, and I glued the excess on the back, or yeah, I guess on the front of that, and then folded it over, and you can see this paper extends to here, and then I turned it into a pocket, and I attached it to one more, this is so hard, I attached it to another piece of paper too. So we have our original paper is this white paper, that's the white side of our cover, and then this 12 inches up here that stops here, and then one more glued on. So it's kind of the same principle as the fold out panel, except for it just folds up. And I did it to where there's 1, 2, 3 panels above our normal panel. Okay, so that is the basic construction of this, and that's how I started. I started by creating my page and then a bunch of panels that fold this way and a bunch of panels that fold that way, okay? And that's how I started, and that's what it looked like in the beginning. And then just like in our 5-panel flip through video, you just take it panel by panel and you decorate each one, and then it kind of begins looking more complicated and it folds out multiple different ways. But in the beginning, it's just a big L shape is how it looked. So let's start with the outside panels and go in. So this panel on the far side, I just took an envelope and I glued it here, here, and here on the back side to create this pocket. And that's what made this page. Then I just took a little piece of paper and I glued it here and here to make these 2 little tuck spots. I also put a little piece of paper in there, so we've got writing space in there. And I'll just put this in that pocket that we made. Then I just had these little envelopes from different swaps that I've done. And I have this, somebody made me this little envelope, and I just put some stuff in there. And I glued the envelope here, here, and here on the back so that I could put in paper to make a pocket. Then same thing, I got this little envelope, who knows where, and I glued it here, here, and here, put a cute little tag in there, and a cute little tag here in that pocket. Okay. So that panel is pretty simple, but again, looks very complicated. Then stepping in, this is the exact same thing we did on the 4th tutorial in the 5-panel flip through. And we just made this little notebook corner, and then this same thing, a little tab with this. And I just took that right from that tutorial. So if you want to see how I make that, there will be links in the description too, so you can refer to that video. Yeah, but that was the 4th episode in that series. So I just created that, gluing this here, here, creating a little tab. So this one, if I take out the little extra things, it's kind of easier to see. I started with this bottom paper and I just folded it in these 3 sides to create this little pocket. And then I just had the whole piece of paper so I could fold it up and it just rests there. And I like this because when there's a pocket above it, this tag will hold that down so it can't fall open. And then when you pull it out, then you can open that. And then this is a little piece of scrapbook paper. It's this teal thing folded in a trifold, and it's glued in an H pattern so that there can be a pocket above it and a pocket below it. So on this bottom one, I just made this little piece of paper that flaps up that is just glued on the bottom right here in a strip so that I can tuck this underneath it like that. And then on the top one, I glued this whole little back piece down, and this rolls up. So it's just a piece of paper I folded and glued it up there. And then this is fun because it's this little tab here that holds that into place. So when everything is down, then it doesn't pop out, but when you start undoing things, then it can kind of roll up. So we'll put that in place, and then this little piece of paper just goes in the top pocket. Since we glued it like an H, then there's a room to put something a little up there. Okay, am I going too fast? Does that make sense? Okay, then this panel, it is a scrapbook piece of paper here. It looks like I had a couple different scrapbook papers of the same pattern. So this striped stuff isn't all one thing. You can see right here is where I connected the 2 pieces, and they are 2 different papers. But it's kind of fun because it looks all like one because it matches. So the same concept as the panels and the fold up. I just folded one piece of paper, glued it to another piece of paper, and kept folding to create this great big wrapped up pocket. And the 5-panel tutorials, tutorial number 5 of that, we basically make this just kind of on a smaller scale. So if you want more details on how to make a pocket like this, I'd refer to tutorial number 5 of the 5-panel series. So we just put that in that pocket, and then we can go over what I did on each of these little panels of this pocket. So this is just a piece of paper I glued 3 times and then put in a pocket. Pretty simple and straightforward. This one is I just had a piece of coffee dyed paper that I tri-folded, and I put this little flower on and just stuck it on with a brad so that I could create a little tab right there. So that goes like that. Anything that kind of sticks out and is glued, or a brad or whatever you want to use to block it, would work great. And I just glued these 3 sides of the back of the coffee dyed paper to create a little pocket that goes like that. Okay, and then here I just had this cute little piece of paper that I glued the top and the bottom to make a little belly band, and I slid in that piece of paper right there. And then the next one, I have these cute little cards that I just got from Hobby Lobby, and I glued it just like a typical pocket in 3 sides, and then I was able to stick a few little things in there. And then here I had just a little journaling card, and I glued it in 2 places to make a tuck. And then I took this paper, folded it up, and stuck it in there. And then for the bottom side, I used this washi tape to kind of help keep the structure of these papers together, just for a little extra support since it's so long and I get nervous about some of them ripping. And so there we go, we'll fold all that up. How many panels is that? Let's count that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 6 panels in that. So really, in that tutorial number 5 of the 5-panel flip through, we did 5. So this is just 1 more than that, and they're a little thicker. So the same concept. Okay, let's do the back side of all these. And we've already gone over that one. So let's move on to this next one. Okay, for this one, the main construct is 1 big scrapbook piece of paper. So I just folded it in these little 4 panels, making it kind of roll up on itself. And I left some room so that I could use a little tab. And this is also very similar to a few of the other tutorials that I've done. It's kind of a mixture of several of them. Oh, and you know what's funny? This whole thing is a belly band, and I must have forgot because I didn't even put anything back there. So I'm gonna put something back there now before I forget. We'll just grab a little piece of paper and shove it back there so that someone can discover that. That is the funny thing about making something so complicated. Sometimes I'll be watching one of my flip throughs and being like, oh, I forgot to open that pocket, or oh, I forgot to pull that, or whatever, because it's so intricate that lots of times I forget all the little details that I put in myself. Anyway, so there's something back there now because this whole thing is a belly band. I just glued it on here and here and put that folded scrapbook paper on. And then to keep it closed, this is a kind of a thicker piece of cardstock, and I stuck a brad in there. You can see the back of the brad is just there, and I covered it with washi tape. Oops, and then I got all excited and bent up all my papers. And then for this, I took this long piece of paper, folded it up a bunch of times to be about the same size as this, a little bit smaller, and glued these 3 sides to make it a pocket, and stuck a little piece of paper in there. And then that is held closed with this when it's all locked up. But when it's open, it's just kind of floppy. I used my favorite flower, which, by the way, thank you, Betty, from Betty's Custom Design. Look, she gave me all of my favorite flowers in a million different colors, and I'm so, so excited. So I am in favorite flower heaven. So thank you so much for sending those. And Betty was nice enough to provide me with a code to give you guys some deals on her Etsy shop. So you can have 20% off if you use the code Kate Maurer. And that's right, that's how you say my last name, Maurer, like power or shower or flower, not like mower. Anyway, I will have links and information about her shop in the description. But here's just a few of her cute printables that I printed out that I'm using in a project right now. I had more, but I used them up, so this is what I have right now. But go check her out. She's got lots of cool stuff. So everyone say thanks to Betty for showering us all with 20% off. Okay, back to the tutorial. So, as I said, my favorite flower I used in that way that I love to use, where I just snip it in half, glue the bottoms down, and use the little flower petals as tabs. And then I just cut a piece of coffee table. I keep saying coffee table. Coffee paper. This is not a coffee table. And then slipped it right there in the little flower petal tabs. Then for this part, if I don't ruin this while I excitedly flip everything open so fast. I just took some pieces of paper. You can see it's 2 strips of paper, and then I folded them to where they're kind of staggered, and I just glued the bottom piece down that much and the top piece down I glued to there. So I just glued and glued. This is one paper, this is another paper, like that. And then it kind of makes this little notebook. And I use very lightweight paper because this is getting pretty chunky. And then I just left this blank for writing space. And then I just put this here to cover that unsightly back of that brad. Anyway, and then you fold that up and zip, put that right there. Next panel, what is happening? Oh, that's supposed to be folded. Okay, so this is another tutorial I've done with the 2 envelopes. I don't know what that's called. Envelope something. What? Is there a tag? Did I take out the tag? Here it is. Let's put that back. Okay. So this is pretty much exactly what I did on whichever tutorial that is. I'll do my best in the descriptions to label them so they're kind of easy to find. So something about 2 envelopes will be in the description for this tutorial. But I essentially took 2 different envelopes, connected them together with this piece of paper in the center, and then I glued it to this panel just by gluing it here and here to create this little belly band right here. And then I just kind of went to town on each of these envelopes. So for this envelope, I glued a little strip of paper here to put this in and make that a pocket for this little card. And I glued it on either side, and then just a little bit up here and a little bit down here. If I turn it this way, I think it should, you can kind of see it pokes through, but it can't go up here or down here because it's glued here and here. So since it's tall, if I push it in, it will stop it and not go through. But technically the center, it goes open all the way through. And then I put a card in there, and then on this back side, I just put a piece of washi tape. And then I can use that as writing space. And I kind of like the top to be plain, so it's like, look how boring it is. Just kidding, it's not boring at all. So for this envelope, I did the same thing where I took a piece of paper, glued it here and here, here and here, and have that there. So again, the center technically opens up all the way through, but those block that tag from going through. And then I put a little cute little postcard in there. And then I just took a little square cardstock and glued it here and here to make a tuck. And stuck this little M right there. M? I want the M in mine. Kate Maurer. I'm gonna put this on Etsy, so I don't want someone else to have my M. Especially when I have different letters that don't relate personally to me. There we go. We'll use an A. I make sure Kate kind of relates to me, but not as much as M. So I will just randomly put some pink on here for some reason and put it in there. Phew, that was a close one. Let's save that. So then on the back side, I just did the same concept as this little thing, and I just made another tuck here and put this little journaling card in there. So that is that panel. And this is the back side, and I reinforced this back page with the tissue paper and some ribbon just to make it really strong, because it was getting so heavy. I was worried it was gonna rip. So that should be nice and reinforced and be able to totally bear all this crazy heavy super weight. So we are halfway done. Let's move on to this half. This is our flip up half. Oh, this is a napkin that I just used on the center again to just really strengthen that spine since it has a heavy load to bear. And something with this one that I learned is I wish I would have measured the panels with a little bit more space in between each one, because it started really curving like this. So if I would have had more foresight, I could have made the folds a little bit thicker so that this wouldn't wrap up. Now luckily I made a page to where this wrapping doesn't ruin anything. But if I had glued something all the way to the top or been closer to that border, then that would have caused me problems. So it worked out, just fortunately, but that's something in the future when I make big ones, I'm gonna really try to leave like ½ an inch between each panel so that it has room to wrap around. So here is this panel. The main construct is this piece of scrapbook paper that I just folded 2 times in and then put stuff on top of. So this top one, I put this piece of paper that folds up several times and turn this into a little pocket by gluing it here, here, and here. And then I cut out a little circle with my little circle puncher, and I poked a brad in the center and put that there. Then on this flap, I just put a big piece of avocado dyed paper and I folded it up to be about a little bit smaller than the panel and glued 3 sides on the back to turn it into a pocket. And then same thing, I made one of these little things and you can see the brad back just poking through right there. And this one goes underneath so that that tag can kind of go under. Oh, and on the back side of this, I just put a little piece of scrapbook paper and I glued it on these 3 sides. And then I took a little piece of paper in a strip and made a little tab by just gluing half of that. And then stuck a little thing in that pocket. Okay, so this goes underneath, so this can be hidden by that. And then I just tied a little piece of string to one of them so I can wrap it around closed. And then this whole blue scrapbook paper that's kind of the foundational piece was just glued 3 times to form a pocket. And so let's just go to the next panel. Here we go. Okay, so this one is where the 2 panels meet up and they're glued together. So I have the back side of one paper and then this page, I connected them by just gluing them on 3 sides and forming a pocket. So that connects there. Hopefully that makes sense. And I glued this little piece of coffee dyed paper 3 times to leave a little space for a card. And then this little flower, I just glued on the edge to make that kind of hold that closed. And then this is just a piece of stationery that I put in that pocket. I use washi tape to kind of help strengthen the fold lines when I feel like it's maybe too heavy. And then this next panel, that's not how it goes. It goes like this. Okay, flippity flap. How do I get everything back? Okay, so that's this page. It looks like that. Is there another way to hold this? Oh, look, I can do like that. That's easier. This is just a piece of scrapbook paper here that I have connected by gluing it here and here. So I folded this up into however I wanted it and glued it down so that it kind of matches there. And then with gluing it those 2 times, it turned this space into a little tuck spot. And then as this folds open, I just put a little strip of paper here to create a little belly band right there. And then on the back side, we made something really similar to this in the 5th episode of the 5-panel series. And I just did that by using a little brad, sticking it in the corner to hold these 3 papers on. And then the bottom page, I glued 3 sides to make a pocket here. So let's put those back. Anyway, I love this. It's really fun. This one, let's see. I took just a piece of writing paper, folded it in a trifold, and glued, is it an H? Yes, I glued it in an H shape. So it's glued here, here, and here to make 2 pockets. And then I folded it this way, and that flaps open. And I got this little heart thing from a swap somewhere. I just put it on the top of this little paper, and that sticks out and can kind of hold this down so that that doesn't flap open. And then here is just another little tag that goes on the other side of that pocket. And that is that panel. And then let's flip it over to our back side. And we've got this one. It's just a piece of paper folded onto this. I just glued it here and here. This is something else I got in a swap, so I didn't make this. And it just has some cute little writing paper sewed across the top with a little piece of foam onto some scrapbook paper. So I loved that, and it made a really great little tab with extra writing space. Here, I just kept it really simple because this is one of the last pages I did, and I made it really flat because it was starting to get too bulky and starting to curve on the top like that. So I knew if I added more bulk at this point, you know, I might kind of ruin everything that I just did. So I tried to keep it super flat. And it's just a recipe card glued 3 sides to make a pocket, and I have that just sitting in there. So this is my most simple page, and it's a very rigid, structured page to kind of hold everything up too. So this was mostly for reinforcement and support that I put that one on there. And then this one, I love this page. I just took a bunch of papers and stacked them up so that they kind of went from kind of short to taller. And I just sewed across in my sewing machine and then glued the bottom one on, and so that all just kind of sticks on like that. And these are all just sewed on. And then underneath here, here's one of the tags that I made in that 3 tag tutorial that I posted a while ago. This is that exact tag, and it's going in this journal. And I just put a little piece of scrapbook paper that folds up, and I glued it in a pocket shape. And then I put this little writing piece of paper on top in belly band style right there, and there I glued it. And then I could put that little tag right there. So lots and lots and lots of writing space and layers in this one. It's super fun. And that's all, right? I did them all, right? Hopefully I didn't skip one. And I sewed it all in with a pamphlet stitch, exactly like I did on the tutorial where I make the junk journal cover. And same technique, using fabric and scrapbook paper. And this time I did wrap the scrapbook paper around. Somebody asked me how come I don't wrap the scrapbook paper like I did the fabric. In the tutorial, I did not wrap the paper around, but just kind of had it be glued on top of it. And I do that sometimes if the cardstock is kind of thicker. Sometimes it has a hard time wrapping around, and I don't like working with it that way. If the scrapbook paper is thinner, then I totally can wrap it around and it looks nice just like fabric. And that is my never-ending junk journal. It was so fun to just sit and just not put any limits on myself and see how big and crazy I could make it. I definitely think I could go bigger and more crazy, but this taught me a lot of what I kind of need to do to construct something bigger and giving myself more space and kind of how much weight the paper can bear. And I'd probably have to use an even thicker foundational piece and definitely give myself a lot more room between each panel if I wanted to make something bigger, which I totally will, because this was such a fun project. Not right now. I've got lots of projects I want to do right now, but someday, just you wait. Is there like a Guinness Book of World Record that I need to be trying to beat or something? I'll just have a personal record. And so far, this holds the highest of my own personal record of most stuff crammed in one page of a junk journal. So thanks for checking out this journal and following along with me. As I said a million times before, if this doesn't make sense, just watch my other tutorials. I pretty much do all those things in all the tutorials. And this journal is going on my Etsy site today. So if you're one of the first people to view this, it's probably still there, and go check it out. If you're seeing this video a little bit late, it's probably already gone. My journals go super fast, and I always post a flip through video right before I upload it to Etsy. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, turn on your notifications, and then you'll get notified every time I post a new video, and then you can see when I have a new junk journal in my Etsy site. It's really random, and it's whenever I have them available. And that's the best way that you can be notified when something goes on Etsy, because I know a lot of you have been trying to buy one of my journals and they go super fast, so turn on those notifications and keep an eye out. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. I love all your comments. One of the best ways to support me is to leave a comment and like my video, and that helps YouTube boost my video to more people. So even if it's just a smiley face or a thumbs up, I would love a comment. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and of course, make sure you're subscribed. And next Monday, don't forget, I'm doing my avocado dyed paper tutorial. So come back for that tutorial this Monday, and I'll also be doing a giveaway, so make sure you see it the week that it goes live. So until then, we'll see you later, friends.